Hi all, welcome to the Cabinet meeting on Wednesday, the 30th of November. Let's go swiftly on through the Cabinet. Quite a lot of pages to go through and reports. So, agenda item 1, apologies. No recorded apologies, but I think is Bev Owen online? Our Chief Executive?
There's 2 pages it appears, so she might be online, but we can't see it on the test.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
no recorded apologies, thanks. Item 2, any declarations of interest from anyone? Okay, no, but when we start going through it and you realise there is, please then say. Item 3, minutes from the previous Cabinet meeting in October 2024. Anyone wish to raise any items? Okay, can I have a proposal secondly accurate?
it does.
So Davis, unfortunately. Brilliant. Right, moving swiftly on to agenda item 4 then, which is the September revenue budget monitor. This is a regular report that everyone should be familiar with, as I know there's many regular watchers of Cabinet. Is the forecast position of the council's revenue budget in year. So this is the second one in the financial year. Against a net budget of £400 million, the September forecast reflects a relatively balanced position with a just shy of 800,000 underspend. This takes into account the contingency budget and the anticipated in-year underspend against capital financing budgets. While a relatively small percentage projected overall, it should be noted that services collectively forecast to overspend by £6.2 million, excluding schools. The update provides confirmation that some of the known risks at the start of the year have materialised and are causing significant overspends, especially within housing services. As anticipated, it is currently possible to offset service area overspends with a general contingency budget and underspend within the current capital finance. To highlight some of these key pressure points, housing and community services in relation to homelessness. I think we mentioned this in the last Cabinet. This area alone is related to an overspend of £3.1 million. This pressure we anticipated, and the service is in the midst of implementing a transformational plan. However, demand continues to increase in the current year, and therefore adding pressure to our financials in that area. Increased demand is also taking place in adult non-residential supported living services, which is also contributing to the overspend position, which is currently offset by the savings made in adult residential service. So a bit of a double-edged sword there. Increased as ever the demand in children's social care services, particularly emergency placements and out of area, which is always an expense to the council. These are often unknowable and disappear, so we have to pay the costs of sending children to appropriate places to be educated or cared for. Increased cost in ALN and special school transport, and an additional 10 academic days contributing to a 1.2 million overspend. This is offset by the underspends against non-service budgets, specifically the contingency budget as mentioned before, and savings in other areas as reported in the details of the report. There are 2 major areas where we anticipate shortfalls in savings, where we had hoped last year your savings again would be children's services and housing communities. As I mentioned earlier, huge demands, pressures we know are coming from the system, and some of the transformational pieces just haven't been able to be implemented or be able to be done. So that adds to the pressures of not being able to get those savings. Our school grants are managed by individual school budgets. The overall underspend does not reflect the school's position. Schools are collectively forecasting an underspend against a budget of 3.8 million, which see balances reduced from 12.5 million to 8.7 million by the end of the financial year. This position is inclusive of the one-off investment made by this Cabinet of an extra £600,000 into our secondary school system. Primary schools, extra space, but we recognise there's huge pressures on our schools and their budgets. So that is a nod from us politically to support our schools where we can. Considering the recurring expenditure included within the 3.8 million overspend, there's a risk of further schools entering a deficit position in future years, which I know has been robustly monitored by the deputy leader and our team, who also support schools if they face that position with a dedicated finance team to help them reduce the impact or get them out into surplus. From the prior year underspend, which some of you might recall was over 5 million, the Cabinet proposes investing in one-off 300k fund implementation costs of our social care management system. I always call it WICIS, but I don't know if that's the correct way. This is basically replacing our old social services system to a system that is more up to date and be maintained by a service provider, where our old system is not viable for future years. So it's a necessary investment in our IT infrastructure, but also to safeguard all the data we have on the system. Secondly, 200,000 in a heat network feasibility project, which a cabinet member might want to allude to, which is, I'll try and explain this as a non-scientist, is we have a lot of data centers springing up in Newport. They produce a lot of excess heat. This heat that is not used at the moment, it's just into the ether. Other cities have noticed that you can harness this heat to heat residential and commercial spaces in and around that area, reducing the costs for those households and those commercial premises. So we're getting a dedicated resource to build out that business case to utilize that heat and reduce people's bills. That was just a glitch. Have I got anything wrong on that? I wait for someone to correct me at any point. Councillor Forsey, I know will jump in if I've got anything wrong. So, any comments or questions on that before I go on to the conclusion, Rebecca? Councillor Davis.
Yes, supporting your comments. In education, there is a forensic focus on budget and finance, emanating from a decision taken by funding to provide additional support to schools and helping them to manage their budgets. Nearly all our schools, with all of our primary schools, having signed up to enhanced package of support. Schools have been prudent and careful, albeit many are currently reliant on using reserves, and with a small number anticipating a deficit budget next year. It has to be stated that in Wales, all local authorities are seeing most of their schools anticipating a deficit budget next year. We are in a better place than they are. It's not good, but we are in a better place. The facts are we're facing the same 14-year history of cuts to public services and funding where this was not a priority for the national government, with the consequences across the UK still being felt. I am sat in meetings with council leaders from across the whole of UK, despairing that educational establishments where we are aiming to see outstanding practice and exceptional learning opportunities are just not fit for purpose. However, I am really excited to see our changing government, who are rightly now reprioritising spend, and we wait to hear how this will be disseminated to Wales and our local authorities. But we are acutely aware we are still managing on the funding week by the previous government.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any other comments?
Just on Appendix 3, the school balances position, I think that shows how difficult school budgets have been, and so it's really welcome that we have introduced additional funding for secondary schools and shown that support as well for primary schools. We realise that this situation is quite difficult for schools.
Thank you, Councillor Jarrett. Any other comments? Councillor Forsey.
Obviously, I welcome the item to explore heat networks. It's got to be an essential part of moving forward with the decarbonisation programme, and it's important that we're not left behind on this matter. If there is heat being produced, then we need to conserve it and use it, because the solutions to our decarbonisation is going to be varied, and it's important that we consider a range of options. So, thank you.
Any other comment member? Councillor Lacey.
Yeah, just to comment on obviously the children's services overspend. A lot of the time, as you quite rightly said, it's out of our hands. Recently we've had quite a significant number of emergency placements that come into us, so that would have increased that again. In terms of Wickes, the project is progressing quite well. Obviously, we were leading the procurement of the system, so that's moved on, and it's good to see the extra money being put in, but also hopefully that money will fall back in if we can get the Welsh Government to a letter going to Welsh Government, I believe this week, from the whole of the Welsh area, from the WLGA, with exactly how much it's going to cost, and then hopefully they will provide finances for us, so that will fall back in. So fingers crossed.
Brilliant.
But we are moving on with that. A lot, feel a lot more comfortable now knowing where we are leading that authority than where we were, say, 6 months ago.
Brilliant. And thank you for your leadership in this area, because I know it's had all of us thinking through and thinking about what system, and it was urgent, and you've led the way on this. So thank you, Councillor Mason. Any other questions? Queries? Comment? Great. Moving on to the conclusion recommendations then. I asked the Cabinet to consider the following proposals. To note the forecast position as outlined in the report. To note the shortfall in delivery of savings accepted in the previous revenue budget. Note the school's forecast position and the position of the individual and total school reserves, acknowledging the risk that further deficit positions could emerge by the end of the financial year. Note the movement in reserves. To approve the recommended reserves transfers, those are the 2 items I mentioned, Wickes and the heat map work. And note the risk identified in the report, such as continued demand in services we know, housing and social care. Then I have a proposal in a second. Councillor Drew and Councillor Davies. Great. Luckily me, it's me again. Item 5, capital programme monitoring additions. This, like our revenue side, is just a position, outline the position of our capital programme in the financial year. Again, this is the second report, and it provides an update of the level of available capital headroom, and also the details of the additions to the programme that have been identified, and seeks our approval for these additions. Turning to the report itself, first section outlines the movement in the capital budget since the last report was presented to Cabinet in September, which was the July 24-25 monitoring additions report. The net value of additions and amendments to the current capital programme since then is £6.1 million. The breakdown of these in additions is in Appendix A. We are required to approve these additions and amendments. As a result of these additions, as of September 24, the current budget for 24-25 is now £87.5 million, which is still substantial and will be challenging to deliver in full. As part of the recommendation to this report, we are asked to approve the slippage that has been identified following the reprofiling exercise. However, the following same approach as last year, any further slippage that is identified throughout the year will only be subject to our approval as part of the final outturn report once the final position is known. On relation to the capital headroom, it notes the current capital headroom available, which is used to support new schemes and emerging priorities for this council. This now stands at £12.7 million, following the additions detailed in this report. Whilst the level of headroom may currently appear reasonable, there remains a need to tightly control its use so that the council is able to respond to critical issues as and when they emerge. This will require clear prioritisation from only the most pressing and urgent issues. In addition, any opportunity to further increase the headroom will need to be taken so it's possible to support as many priorities as possible to ensure sufficient funding exists to respond to any issues that do arise, i.e. giving us enough capital finance to fund anything emergency that comes up and crops up in the year. We need to have that firepower just in case. On our prudential indicators, the report confirms the council has complied with the prudential indicators set out for 24-25, except for the indicator designed to show the proportion of financing costs to the net revenue stream. This is due to increase in financing costs, which has arisen from a change in accounting for leases, and does not represent any additional cost to the authority. Any comments or queries before I go on to the conclusions? Councillor Davies.
I'm going to be parochial again, because I have to be. A real positive in the report is that we can see the St Andrews Primary School project is due for completion in December. And this is so exciting for those children to be returned to a school where we know the new environment will enhance learning and are no longer need to be transported across the city to attend their school. Can I please pass on my thanks to the head teacher and the governing body, as well as all the staff for their hard work in ensuring excellent education continue to be sustained on the Meadow Grief Road site, as evidenced by the recent Eston inspection. I know that Jo Giles, as the head teacher, has been phenomenal in managing both sites, but also has been a strong voice in ensuring the design of the new building will suit her children's needs. Jo is one of our inspirational head teachers, of which I'm proud to say there are many within Newport, but Jo has been amazing in these especially difficult circumstances.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any other comments? Okay, we are, Councillor Dan.
Yeah, other than obviously declaring that sit on the governing board for the Whitehead School, which I previously declared in the last cabinet meeting, but just for the record, you could.
Yeah, he needs to declare it every meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Dan. We asked to approve the additions and amendments detailed in the report totaling £6.1 million. We asked to note the level of capital headroom currently available and the use of the headroom as noted in the report. Also required to note the authority's compliance with the prudential indicators, which are also included in the report. Can I have a proposal in a second in the cabinet? Councillor Davis, Councillor please. And at this point, can I thank the finance team for their incredible hard work and giving these reports to us always in a timely and accurate manner. So the cabinet thanks you for your hard work. Agenda item 6, budget proposals. I should have a glass of water. This report provides the cabinet with an update on the council's budget process and presents the first tranche of saving proposals. Now, this is unusual for Newport, as I understand it. Usually, it's we wait for the final settlement from Welsh Government, and then we thank you very much. Sure. It is water, if one accuses me. It is unusual, but we were keen to get on with facing the pressures we face as local authorities across the country, not only in Wales, but in England. And instead of waiting for the normal process, we want to get ahead of the game and start setting out the process and journey where we are going. And this is about budget realignments, a lot of it, but also about transformation, about us facing the new realities we face. And that is with adapting technology like AI and automation, and income generation, because if we are going to face the challenges we face across all our services, there's two options in my view. We manage to climb, or we adapt and change to face the new realities. And I picked the latter, and I know we all picked the latter as a cabinet. And these proposals is our stamp at saying Newport Council is up for this challenge. We're going to face it head on, and we're with our officers who are top notch. I'm not only going to show the way, we're going to lead this. So, our medium-term financial plan report to council in February identified a potential budget gap of over £20 million for the next financial year, 25-26. Work to update these cost pressures and funding assumptions is ongoing. This updated budget position will be presented in the cabinet in January of next year. The UK government delivered its autumn budget on the 30th of October, which allocated additional funding for Wales. Although the consequences for the Welsh local government settlement are not clear, and we should be clearer in mid-December. The UK government, despite the potential for additional funding, we fully expect the council will need to find savings to balance its budget, like all councils. This is the first tranche of that. It's all included all the details are included in this report. A small number of proposed savings require public consultation. These total £128,000 and are listed in Appendix 1A, with the detailed proposals that don't require public consultation in Appendix 2. The majority of the proposals do not. Oh, that's Appendix 1B, sorry. Well, a small number of these are within delegation to the cabinet, totaling over 100,000 for 25-26. The remaining proposals are within the delegation heads of service. These total shy of nearly £4 million. The implementation costs relating to these proposals that do not require public consultation is £776,000, and Cabinet are asked to approve the use of transformational reserves for this purpose. that is, i.e. in human language, investing in these proposals to make sure they deliver the services going forward. Sometimes you invest to get the savings. The available balance in reserve is currently £3.3 million. Are there any cabinet members who want to comment or say at this point? Councillor Davis.
It's just a small statement. If we approve this afternoon, I just urge residents to participate in the consultation process. Your voices and views really do matter. And then they will listen to it. It really matters. People must participate, and we will review those voices, those points of view, the comments when we come back to look at this. And as leader quite rightly says, majority proposals relate to efficiency savings and income generation. And I support those proposals because there's no other way of moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Councillor Lacey.
Yeah, reiterate what Deputy Leader said, but also to thank officers, especially my officers within children's services and adult services. And you know, children's services and adult services, the next tranche of children's services now offering income generation assessment. So you know, they spend a lot of time thinking that they have Friday transformation Fridays and looking where you know we can generate income. So the officers are really working hard, but what it shows is that our officers and our social workers and our child protection officers are a real high class, that their services can be used throughout other authorities in Gwent, and other authorities are coming to us for our services, which is a testament to the work and how hard they work and what they do. So it's really just a big thank you to them that they can provide this for us.
Absolutely. Really incredible effort by the social services team. Fantastic. Councillor Drew.
I just wanted to thank officers as well for their creative ways that they've come up with ideas that will be income generating and transformative of the budget in areas like CCTV and pest control, and the way that some funding has been able to be transferred out to grant funding, and in that way to be transformational.
Absolutely. Any other cabinet? Councillor.
Can I just add on to that, and I echo Councillor Drew in terms of innovation and transformative ideas. It's about being open to the idea first, I think, before you go into those uncharted waters, so to speak. But then it's only when you, I think, reach that level of development, you start to understand the importance of efficiency, productivity, and you know, ultimately savings. As you said, you know, it helps not just us but officers, and most importantly, I think, delivering services to the public. And ultimately, that's what we should always fall back to, as the members of the community that we serve. And I'd like to, on record, thank officers both from the housing and planning team, as well as the transformation team and all the other service areas, responsibilities for other monthly portfolio. Thank you.
Councillor Black.
Thank you, Leader. Just really sort of going on to what you said at the very start, that this is going to be really tough times. This is tough decisions which have to be made. But we're not the only council in the UK. In fact, so there are other councils in the UK probably in a more difficult position than we are. But this is our council. Newport is our council to look after. And I think there's never been a time when we all have to work together, officers, cabinet members, heads, leaders and deputy leaders, because the goal is the same, the best for Newport. That's always the goal. But we have to be brave, as you mentioned. We have to adapt. You have a choice. You really do have a choice in this situation. There'll be council all around the UK and in Wales which will have to make these decisions, and they're going to be tough decisions. But you have to, I think, as Councillor Adam, you have to think sort of differently. You have to think out of the box sometimes. But you can only do that if you're all joined up, if you're all together on this. And I think that's going to be absolutely crucial going forward, our relationships with officers. As I said, when we thank them today, which we all, I'm sure, will thank officers, there have been tough decisions and tough meetings as well behind the scenes to get to this point. I think they will be moving forward. But you have to be brave, as you said, because if not, we'll just stand here and say it's tough times, it's really difficult, etc., etc. Or we stand up and say, this is what we're trying to do, this is what we're looking to move forward, and lead the way on it. Because either you stay or you move, and we're moving and trying to get the best possible situation for the residents of Newport, because Newport is our council.
Thank you, colleagues. As I say, we won't shirk any decision. We will face this head on, and this is the statement of intent. And the cultural piece of being open-minded, bouncing ideas off each other, offering services that have been previously withdrawn, but offering them again, but in a commercial manner to support the residents and this local authority and hard-pressed taxpayers. We will never shirk that, because if we shirk it, the only people who suffer are the residents of Newport and those who are the most in need of our services. I ask the Cabinet, therefore, to agree the following proposals. Agrees the following draft proposals for public consultation are set out. Appendix 1A, the summary, and Appendix 2 is detailed proposals. And approve the implementation of the delegated decision in Appendix 1B, the use of the transformation fund to fund the implementation costs of the proposals listed in Appendix 1B, totaling £776,000. Councillor Collins. Proposal for second. Yes. Everyone approves?
Yeah.
Yeah, just get a proposal for a second.
Councillor Davis and Councillor Bell. Oh, blissfully. Agenda item 7, Councillor Deborah Davis.
Thank you, thank you. The report I'm presenting today is on Newport Schools Asset Inspection outcomes between January 2022 and July 2024. The purpose of this report is to inform members of the judgments made by inspections teams of Newport schools. The report provides a summary of school estimate reports, outcomes, and identifies the schools and dates on which the inspections took place, together with the follow-up category recommendations. It should be noted that a new inspection framework commenced on the 1st of September 2022. However, the period reporting that's being reported on covers pilot inspections completed in the spring and summer terms of 2022. Esting's new approach to inspections of schools and pupil referral units meant that there was not a focus on gradings, but details on how well providers are helping children to learn. This is very much a supportive approach, only recently been adopted by Ofsted in England. There's been no change to the statutory categories of special measures and significant improvement, and Esting retained the category of Esting review. Therefore, comparisons over time with previous frameworks are not possible, given that there are no judgments for the 5 inspection areas. In this report, 25 judgments available, comprising of 22 primaries and 2 secondaries and 1 special school. Newport school performance compares favourably against the region and Wales, with double the proportion Newport schools having been identified as having practice worth sharing through a case study. Very few schools, only 2 of 25, that's 8%, have required any form of Esting review, and no schools have been placed in a follow-up category. These are lower than the proportions nationally across Wales. The local authority uses the outcomes of school inspections effectively to confirm whether schools are receiving appropriate support and challenge, and to triangulate judgments which have been made prior to inspections. Where Eston have made recommendations, these will be the focus of intervention, the tracking of progress made by the local authority. More generally, schools are being supported through a local professional learning officer to address key themes that have emerged from Eston school inspections, for example, Welsh, and the use of Welsh language across our schools. Given the strong Eston inspection outcomes across nearly all schools in the city, I would like to spotlight 2 schools, in particular, Jubilee Park Primary and Langstone Primary, who had no specific recommendations for improvement relating to their inspections. I believe Newport is one of the only local authorities in Wales that has 2 schools in this position. During this period, 4 schools had originally been inspected under previous arrangements, who have had monitoring visits have been removed from SDN category of domestic review. I have to say, 2 of these were an extended period because this was out of our control, because this was during the pandemic. And that needs to be noted, that this extended period was due to the fact that all inspections were suspended during this point in time. This report provides members with information on the outcomes of SDN inspections in Newport schools. Given the changes to the framework in the middle of the cycle and the impact of the pandemic, only approximately 1/2 of Newport schools have been inspected. We will continue to provide members with updates on the profile of SDN inspections based on the new inspection framework, which commenced in operation in September of this year. Before I ask you consider another report, I suppose I need to ask if there are any comments that you need to make, or wish to make.
Councillor Clark.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Just really, just sort of reflection really. And if you look at 1.19, about schools which were in special measures and came out. I was lucky enough, I was not lucky enough, I'm not sure where that sits, but Malthus Church, I was at Malthus Church Primary for a period to get it out of special measures, and we were lucky enough, I'd say sort of my input was very minimal on that. We got it out of special measures, and on Newport High, I became chair at Newport High. The reason was my goal was to get it out of special measures in that year, and we got it out within that year. And sitting as a councillor, you have to look at achievements, and one I'll reflect back is Newport High coming out. But the reflection back isn't about me being chair; it's about the hard work which goes into this by the teachers, the head teacher Jill Lee, and the team around from all levels. And sometimes on a document, it's hard to sometimes see what really goes in, and the time and the sort of the highs and lows, the roller coasters when you get interviewed by SDN. But the joy of getting out, and when a school comes out of special measures, and this is what Jill Lee taught me, is that's the start.
Yes.
That's the start. So, I have to sort of, even though I was involved in 2 of the schools, it was really sort of, I just happened to be that person. But what those teachers in both schools, but especially Newport High, because I was there a lot longer, and they're still there, what they go through and what they have to go through, and the work they put in. And that shows really the grit of the Newport schools. And, it's great to read. I just wanted to.
I completely concur. It's my experience. It's far hard. It's far harder to get out of special measures because you actually expect inspectors to be greater hoops than a school that's been a sustained trajectory of progress.
And if I could just sort of add to it, so I'd also, which I did miss out, the officers.
Yes.
The officers. So there's sometimes young son heroes.
Yeah.
So they're not mentioned in Argus front page or the back page or sort of the hard work, or but the officers within the council also who sort of put their time out and literally get sort of throw themselves fully into this. So I just want that sort of really noted on reflection of what went on in the last 18 months. Thank you.
Councillor Lacey. Thank you, Councillor Clark.
Yeah, similar to what Councillor Clark was saying, but reflecting on specifically my children went to Jubilee Primary School when they had that SDN inspection, and having no recommendations meant to that school was amazing. Speaking to the head teacher and speaking to teachers, I think they were one of the first actually to come out with no recommendation. It was a new school. It was amazing, and it just, like I said, it's testament to the teachers that were there that were amazing. But to have 11 out of 25 of the schools that we selected to give a case study of best practice from Newport through SDN is phenomenal. And I think that that's all credit that we're actually leading the way in how our schools teach and how they work on a lot of different areas, not just teaching professional care and everything. We should be really proud of the quality of our schools and our teachers. Thank you.
Absolutely, Councillor Lacey. Councillor Druitt.
Yeah, I mean, this is an excellent report. All schools, apart from one, have no follow-up measures, and many were examples of excellence where case studies, as you said, Councillor Lacey, are being undertaken for dissemination to the rest of Wales. Additionally, Newport schools have excelled in creating a culture of continuous improvement where teachers and staff work collaboratively to address individual student needs and strengthen teaching practices. So this ESTIN report reflects the positive impact of Newport's dedication to quality education, setting a benchmark for schools across Wales, delivering inspiring, student-centred learning experiences. So my congratulations to all the hard-working pupils in our schools, to the teaching staff, the school governors, to the Director of Education, Sarah Morgan, and her officers, and to Cabinet Member for Education, Councillor Deb Davis.
Yeah, I just want to add, don't forget the backdrop of all that hard work from all those people is less money
Yes.
and more children presenting with complex needs. And Newport is growing at a phenomenal rate, over 10% from the 16. So more demand for school placements, more children who need more support with fewer resources, and they still produce results. And I think you've all hit on it. Teamwork, all working as a unit, having those tough conversations, yes, but working in the same direction. Officers, elected members, governors, teachers, teaching assistants, and parents, all pushing in the same direction. Look what you can achieve. And I think it's testament to all of you who do all that incredible work. And to you, Councillor.
That note, can I just put any further comments? I'd ask that this cabinet consider and note the contents of this report, and for the council to approve the report and for it to be published.
Proposal second, Councillor Lacey and Councillor Druitt. Okay, thank you, Councillor Davis. Moving on to agenda item 8, the Gwent Regional Partnership Board Area Plan. Regional Partnership Board Annual Report. Councillor Laura Lacey. That's a mouthful.
Thank you. So I'm pleased to present the Regional Partnership Board RPB Annual Report for 2024, which you'll find attached in Appendix A. The report provides a strategic summary of the RPB's work over the past year, focused on their key priorities, which are enhancing care and support to give individuals more choice and control, improving health, well-being and overall outcomes across the region, ensuring coordinated person-centred care and support, and maximising resources, skills and expertise across all partners. While this is a regional report, much of the work covered has a direct impact on Newport, with key developments highlighted throughout. Additionally, Appendix B outlines the use of grant funding that supported all the work. The report will also be submitted to Welsh Government. So my conclusion is for the Cabinet to accept the report 2024 or any comments.
Any comments? No? We all love regional partnership, don't we? Notes, happy to have a proposal and seconded, Councillor Clark and Councillor Davis. Yeah. Okay, moving on to agenda item 9, Air Quality Action Plan Adoption, Councillor Bonhurst.
Newport City Council has produced an updated air quality action plan for a 5-year period, 2024 to 2029, which sets out the measures and approaches that can be taken to achieve sustainable compliance with the air quality objective for nitrogen dioxide emissions. This report seeks approval of the updated version of the Air Quality Action Plan for 24 to 29, and this can be put forward to full council for adoption and replacing the existing 2008 plan. Newport has declared 11 air quality management areas over the years, which is in the annual air quality objective for nitrogen dioxide, and as such has a statutory duty under the Environment Act of 1995 and guidance made under it to produce an air quality action plan. The action plan identifies the following key themes in the improvement of air quality in Newport: emissions from new development, emissions from transport, education and awareness, active travel and green infrastructure. Existing and plan-based actions on part of the council and its community air quality groups representing each air quality management area will contribute to the ongoing compliance with the air quality objective that we have preserved over the past couple of years. when Newport City Council is satisfied that a sustainable compliance is being achieved, it will be able to systematically revoke its air quality management areas, and in their place produce a citywide air quality strategy that sets out how sustained compliance will be maintained as we strive to achieve the best air quality for Newport. I ask that the Cabinet consider and note the contents of this report.
Thank you, Councillor Forsey. Any comments? Councillor Howard.
Thank you. Yeah, I just think this is such an important plan, you know, as someone who suffers from asthma myself, you know, poor air quality has a huge impact on your health, your quality of life. If you're a child, you know, your education suffers. If you're an older person, you're sort of, well, struggling to work, struggling on a day-to-day basis. So it's just so important to have this plan and have, you know, a clear strategy in place. And I also just wanted to shine a light on some of the points around the sort of infrastructure side of things, because part of it is decarbonising the fleet. We've just had some figures that show that Newport's leading the way on this with our zero emission vehicles. 31% of our vehicles in May were zero emission. We absolutely topped the charts of all the local authorities on that. I think the next one was Denbighshire at 18%. And I think now, since May, we're now closer to 50%. So, you know, we're on a really good journey there. That's going to have a huge impact on improving air quality throughout the city. And we're also, amongst other things, rolling out school street initiatives where we try and reduce some car emissions around schools, where, you know, where children will be coming in and out of school at pick-up times. They're actually trialling one in Mono Primary today, and they've got a programme being rolled out now and again in January. So, you know, there's a lot of good stuff going on, and also really good news about the 5 M4 junctions that have had such sustained good results that they're actually going to be coming out to these AQFAs. So I just think congratulations all around to officers, and I just really welcome this plan.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Councillor Davis.
Yes, thank you. I want to speak as a ward councillor because I've been asked to participate in the local air quality consultation group for May D, which Beechwood covers. And I really welcome opportunities, not just to have regular updates what's happening within that area, but the opportunity to have frank discussions on how improvement of air quality can be achieved, particularly in that corridor of Chepstow Road. But what I'd really like to say is that Steve Manning, our air quality officer, is absolutely superb. His passion and his hard work to make a difference in Newport really has to be noted. His ability to sit and listen to residents and take their concerns forward and come back and sort of develop that in some sort of plan is really exemplary. We've got a superb officer. I genuinely know there's a work to make things happen in Newport, and it needs to be mentioned.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any other comments? Councillor Lacey.
I'm just going to jump off the back of the deputy leader there, with regards to the passion. I trying to point out Councillor Forsey, who literally lives and breathes this air quality management, to the point that I get messages off her and we get messages off her with beacons of air quality every now and again. Go look at the air quality beacons. Yes, yes. So they couldn't be a better company than literally.
I do remember the firework message.
Yes, yes. Well, that's not the only one. We get them quite a lot. The air quality on Preston Road, you know, so she really does, you know, follow this through. Is you know, really invested into the improvement of the air quality. So as well as the office.
And she also attends all the regional groups as well. She, as a cabinet member, she's phenomenal. Genuinely.
It is a really important issue, as Councillor Howard was saying, for health of all sorts of people. And generally, it's a really good news story in Newport. Most of the time, the air quality is really good. But firework night was an absolute disaster. But generally, it is very good. And I really would sort of encourage residents to engage with the plan and engage with the data. And the schools programme is really good. So yeah, I hope everybody is pleased and hope we can take the plan forward to bring the story of air quality and what we're doing to more residents to understand the data.
Absolutely. Better air quality, better health, better city. And Councillor Forsey has led the way. She is, quite honestly, you saw the WhatsApp messages, officers are exempt, of Councillor Forsey's forensic detailed concern around this matter. But it's quite right, because it's that hidden health cost, as Councillor Howells alluded to. Why am I trying to breathe? Why am I having more asthma attacks? But fighting that pollution is better for everyone. If anyone disagrees with that, well, I think they need to look at themselves in the mirror, in my opinion, and I think all our opinions on this. And it is a good news story. It's highlighted by Councillor Howells. 50% of our fleet, did you say, is even
Emission, yeah.
zero emissions,
Yeah.
leading the way. The nearest was 18% at the time.
In May,
Yeah. So again, facing the challenges of now, not scared by it, we're buoyed by it. We have a passion to face this challenges of our world and of our finances. And Newport again leading the way. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for this report? Councillor Forsey and Councillor Mason. Okay, moving on to agenda item 10, one Newport summary of business. There's a link to the One Newport summary document included for our information. It provides an update of what the One Newport partnership is up to. And I just want to say on this is a step below the regional partnership boards, but is around Newport partners working closely together, not led by the council, but in conjunction with the council, to work together for the benefit of residents. Because I know that nothing more annoys our residents when organisations don't talk to each other, don't work together to solve the problems that Newport and its residents face. The council cannot solve all these problems by itself. It can't, not without our partners. And the One Newport is the answer to that. It's working together to face the issues we all face. So if you want to see what the work and what the group is up to, reports in the document. We need to have a proposal and second for this since we're noting it.
Yeah, just a vote in favour of noting.
Can I all vote in favour of noting this report? Unanimous. Okay, agenda item 11, the work programme. To move the cabinet acceptance of this programme. Do you all accept?
Yeah.
Unanimous.
Yeah.
Brilliant. This concludes the meeting. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening.
There we are.